everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Braincast. I'm Shane. She's Jenny. We're the Braincast team.
My sound effect was so delayed. It was like 5 seconds later. There was like a moment into that was awful. They put me in charge of the one sound effects today, and I have yay. Okay, that was
Sure, let's
not
do it
good.
again where you're not laughing your ass off, maybe.
The delay. All right, and here we are introducing both of us, and then it's like cricket, cricket. No more clapping. All right. How are you doing this week? What are you up to?
I'm good. I guess Trump invaded Venezuela. It's something good we could talk about. If we want to start there, let's start there.
Oh my gosh. I know that's the first thing you mentioned to me. Like, we have to talk about Trump and Venezuela because these current topics, first off, they affect all of us and they're on our minds. So we have to get it off our chest. Now, me as a girl, we default to if I'm in a war, I will participate. If I'm not in a war, I don't want to participate. What are we doing here? Just as this girl, but I know that that was necessary. Like that was necessary action. There's no doubt in my mind that that was the right thing. But you have more insight than I do. I have
So
just
I
opposite.
personally don't think it was necessary. I'm a Canadian, so my personal views are all the same problems that exist in Venezuela exist in Canada. We have a dictator, Mark Carney. Before that, we had another dictator, Justin Trudeau. They froze bank accounts without any kind of court orders. They shut down peaceful protests because it went against their narrative. We have a huge drug problem that the government has basically encouraged by
Subsidizes, right?
make subsidizing the drugs, number one, giving safe places. My personal thoughts are I think the government is in on making the drugs and they're making money from it. The other thing is we have a huge border. Well, the biggest border in the world is shared by Canada and the US. So the biggest problem that for these drugs, if that's actually the problem, which I don't agree with either, is that it's seeping into the United States from Canada. It's not there. I can guarantee there's not half as much drugs coming from Venezuela as there is coming from Canada. So my personal opinion on it is, and I'd like to hear your take, is this isn't a war that's about drugs at all. It's about the central banking system that does not exist in Venezuela, which creates a problem for the real cartels of the world, which are the people that run the central banks.
I hope that all of this does make a dent in drugs. And I think that you're right. I think that governments use drugs as, like legalizing marijuana. Your population is going to be okay with things and, happy with the way things are and not protesting. If you're not harsh on drug crimes, everybody's okay with, bad things happening. Drugs lead to bad things happening. So it's not necessarily like, okay, you have drug lord boss guy who also has assaults and also is, doing all sorts of other illegal shit. So when they don't want to stop that, and like you said, if the north border is that much of threat, then I mean, and I think that's kind of obvious because isn't it Seattle and Oregon or Washington and Oregon that have the worst drug problem in the United States and homeless
And
problem? I mean, and that's
Detroit's right on the Canadian border, Windsor specifically. The whole thing is a scam. The like, in my opinion, at least with the drug dealers, they're upfront about what they're doing. We're here to break the law. We're here to make money. The politicians are the problem because they're here posing as good guys, but they're doing more harm and more damage than the drug dealers. And not only that, they're making money off the drug dealers. It's a whole system
Well, and
I
I
think
think that
it's
that's
pretty well known and documented that the biggest drug dealers in the world and the biggest drug movers in the world are part of the CIA.
no, and that's sick and sad to even think about. Um, I think that when you have problems in the government and then you have things like drug cartel and then with Mexico kind of the same thing going on where nobody trusts the politics in Mexico. Nobody trusts the government. It is a system that you fail in and that is controlled and governed by people with money and people that are in drugs. And drugs and money happen to be how you make it. And a lot of people, it's weird that when you're young, people think that's so cool, watch Scarface or whatever, and that's so cool. And then you
I
think
was
about
one
it
of
and you're
them.
like, wait. Yeah, you think about it and you're like, wait a second, drugs mean that you're homeless and you have no teeth when you're 50 years old. Like there's a huge difference between the reality of, drug bosses and how cool it is, but then the people with money that do drugs, I mean, live regular ass lives, and are able to shuffle money and able to do drugs and get away with it. And us little people, I think that we were talking earlier about how there's like a layer to the protection and the deceit. So, locally, I think cops are good, do a good thing, keep people off the street and, do good things, right? I don't think pulling people over for stupid shit is good, but whatever, right? But then you get that higher level. You get that level of things getting thrown out of court for stupid reasons and things that are political that don't get pushed through that are unfair. And you're like, wait a second. So in our little regular level where it has to do with us, car thefts, assaults, regular shit, it's like, okay, that's just. There's a regular justice system. I feel like if I go to court for something, I feel like at least the judge will actually hear me. But then you get into that next level and it's deceit. We don't trust it. And so in Mexico, that's what people like, you don't trust the government. You don't.
Well,
And
it's the
so
exact same in Canada. The only difference in Canada is so here is something that not not all liberals understand is that the Liberal Party completely controls all the media. So they have a budget in the billions to pay media. So the media is not there to tell the truth. It's there to tell the narrative of the liberal government. And there's so many brainwashed liberals in Canada that keep them in power. And because they just keep listening to the news. Well, CBC says this. Well, it must be true. Well, no, it's not true. CBC is paid to lie, and there is no consequences for news outlets that lie. It's just free reign. Here, like if the news tells you that you need to go get 8 fucking vaccines, and you go get 8 vaccines, you're an idiot, and most people in Canada went and got their vaccines and they're still getting their flu shots. I'm not one of them. I'm completely unvaccinated. Thankfully, I escaped the matrix in that manner as well. I'm not programmable, which is people like me are dangerous to their system because number one, it doesn't work on us. And number two, we speak up against it. And now the liberals are passing new laws that state Canadians are not allowed to speak up against it on social media. So it's just censorship. It's a dictatorship at its best, and it's right
yeah.
next door to America. And
And
if
what's
Donald Trump is going to invade somewhere and save some people, he should be saving Canadians. But that is why he doesn't, because Canada is under the central bank control. So we're all in line. We pay our taxes. Well, stupidly enough, we pay a lot of taxes, like 40% in taxes, and we put our money in the bank while they print the money, and we hope to save our way to retirement, which will never happen because they just keep printing it, and the value of homes are going up. No kids in Canada have a chance to buy a house. It's not even realistic anymore. Most of them don't even consider it a realistic option. They're content to live in their parents' basements, and people aren't having families because they can't afford it.
Well, the
So
invasion on Canada seems very similar to the invasion in the United States with the media and the system and how everything's set up. I mean, you
all
have
of
a bunch
North
of
America
people,
is toast.
yeah, you have a bunch of people that they believe the media so much that even if you saved them, they'd be like, I hate you, and riot and do some stupid shit. I'm
And the
sorry.
media is all fully controlled mostly by one country. I don't know if we want to get into that, but it's all controlled by the one country, which is not America and it's not Canada.
You want to enlighten me? I know I
Choose.
seem deep, but I don't know. This is on another level.
I don't want to get us banned. Israel controls everything. They control the media. They control the governments. The whole Epstein thing was a massive thing. He was an Israeli secret agent, and his job was to get all these politicians, Bill Clinton, maybe even Donald Trump. There's debate on that. I don't know if I want to go there either. Um, they get all these politicians in these circumstances where here's how it happens. So let's go to a private island. There's all these girls, all this
Mhm.
stuff, party, party,
Let's
party.
diddy them. Let's
Yeah.
diddy them.
And then they get it on camera, and then
Mhm.
boom, that politician is now owned by that government agency who has that evidence. Because if you don't do what I say, I'm leaking all this footage of you with an underage girl. And then on top of that, they get paid. So they all get money. So they like 50% of the money printed is stolen. It's stolen right off the hop. It doesn't even go into circulation because they control it. So you can imagine, if I can make you do stuff for me and I could print money, why wouldn't I just print more and not tell anybody? So they print lots of it, they steal it, they feed it to the politicians, and then they own the government. The government is not there for the people, it's there to enrich themselves, and it's all governments.
Well, but it does prove a good point that at least there's a little bit against the grain because it is obvious that Maduro was drug cartel and it's a little against the grain because oh just let him stay in power, let the world turn and we do all these other I don't want to say silly wars, but we have all these other conflicts around the world, but things that are blatantly obvious are actually against the grain right now. So it does say a little bit for that there might be hope. I mean, there might be, some light at the end of this. But, as far as after Trump administration, I don't know. I'm
Well,
worried.
I'm,
I
I'm
hope that
hoping someone along the
Democrats
lines
step up.
of Nick Fuentes comes into power. Someone with a little bit of a perspective where he's willing to stand up against these people who don't need to control our countries. They should control their own country and worry about their country. And Americans should control America. Canadians should control Canada. And
Dude,
it
that was
should be
such a
a
good move. Did you see that we're not sending money to NGOs anymore? We're sending it to the actual country. That was actually good news.
It doesn't matter. It's all a money laundering scam. They send it to the country, then the country gives it back in the form of contracts to high rated government uh, people. So these
Interesting.
governments, these people at the top of the government, they are all invested in companies. And then they send the money overseas. The money gets funneled back into these companies, and the stock price goes up, and everybody gets rich. It's just a circle of money that's being stolen constantly while people can barely pay their rent, they can barely pay their bills. Why is Canada, who is in a housing crisis, who is in a drug crisis, who is in a job crisis? So here's another thing about Canada that nobody really even considers. I think it's around $2 billion worth of natural gas and oil gets sold from Canada to the United States. Now, who else has a huge supply of oil? Venezuela. Do you see where I'm going with this? So now Canadians are going into a crisis that they don't even see coming because they think this war is about drugs when really it's about controlling the narrative, controlling the money, the central banks, the oil. It's about all that. None of it's about drugs. Nobody really cares.
Yes, I feel
So
this. Even
maybe
so,
maybe we've
I hope
taken
that
this far enough.
I hope that you're right. I hope that somebody like Nick Fuentes, even though I'm not like a big like Kuiper fan, whatever,
Me
I do
neither,
appreciate,
but
huh?
I'm not either, but
Yeah, somebody that has a
my
voice.
reasoning for him is at least he's willing to have an opinion that goes
Yeah.
against the grain.
Yeah. Willing to have an opinion, willing to have the thought and actually, back it up with something logical most of the time. I mean, but, and then everybody slandering him for saying something that's half assed, what? You don't say something kind of crappy every once in a while? I mean, give me a break.
Well, he
Are we
says
trying to be
things that a
perfect?
lot of
Are the
white
guys going to be
people are
perfect?
thinking, but like Andrew Tate always says, white men don't have balls anymore. We're run by our women, most of us, not me, but most
I
white
would
men
fail in this
can't
conflict.
can't speak out because their wife will say, "You can't say stuff like that," and they're like, "Okay, honey," and they just shut
That's
their
one of my
fucking
jokes.
mouths.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Cucked
can't do
is the
that.
word.
I can't do guys expecting that from me. They expect it at this point. I can't do that. I can't tell a guy what to do. No. Anyway,
It's gay.
gay. Gay, gay, gay. All right, so last week we were talking about robots, and what I wanted to get into this week is service businesses, small businesses, people that I like helping out. And that's usually I'm a one person shop. I own the business. I do the 16 jobs in my business. I had to take care of everything. How does that person move from doing that with AI to moving to the next level? And not just kind of ordinary average things, because people open chat gpt and they get kind of a canned response sometimes where, okay, I get where AI is going to help me. It's kind of like Google. When Google first came out, you open up the browser and you're like, what do I Google? You know, now you open up a prompt, you open up Grok, and you get a thoughtful response, but how can you turn that into action? And so a regular person, I like thinking of when you wake up in the morning, you're an HVAC guy or you're a plumber, you're an electrician, and you were talking about this last time with robots. Those tasks that we do every day, right? They are not easy. AI is not easily implemented as much as people say that it is because it's not like readily available yet. Like, yes, we can all open up a window and have a chat prompt, but is that really helping us focus our energy and get things done? Not
It's
quite.
not gonna move the needle, that's for sure. With these service based businesses that you're talking about, one of their biggest problems is they don't answer the phone. People will Google electrician and then they'll call the electrician and nobody will answer and then they'll hang up and then they'll Google the next electrician and the next until somebody answers the phone. Where we come in with that is we build phone agents that answer every call. Not only that, but they speak multiple languages. So if you're Muslim, if you're Asian, Chinese, Japanese, it doesn't matter. Our agent can handle your questions. We can program them with a full knowledge base of the electrical code, of the electrical business, of the plumbing code. So it can follow the rules and have a knowledge base of exactly what your business does, answer all of the customers' questions as if they're the actual electrician or plumber, and then book them in for either a quote or a job. It can take it all the way to booking the job if that's what you needed to do. Like if it's a simple, I need my house rewired, then you got to go out and quote that. But if it's like I need a pot light fixed, it's flickering, then it can quote that price if it's programmed to and book the job, and then you just show up and do the job. Then it's eliminating all that back and forth. So for
I
the
have an
service
idea.
based industries like that, I like to start, number one, making sure they have a good website that gives out all the information of what they do. They should also have a chat agent on the website. And just so everybody knows, the chat agents that we build are not your typical chat bots from the 1900s. They're not programmed with four responses. These things can think and have a full knowledge
Kelly?
base and have a complete conversation with your customer and push them with a CTA, call to action, in order to book an appointment. So the website has an agent on it. It cycles through to booking. Then, if they have more questions, there's a call button right on the website that goes right to the AI agent who answers the phone 24/7. Not only there's never a missed call, and it's a whole system that we put together in order to increase these service-based industries volume of customers. So it's not always about bringing you new customers and more customers. It's more about not missing the customers that are already looking for you.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've landed on the person that I eventually buy from because I couldn't get a hold of anybody. Like I've tried three or four people, and you're the first person that I've actually talked to. Save them in my phone.
Yep.
And that's how it is because a lot of these service industries, guys feel like they're swamped, right? They're the one man show. They feel like they're swamped. They're like, man, I'm so busy. I have, so much business. They miss those opportunities and they can't scale from, they can't expand from there because they're doing the one job at a time, word of mouth. And those customers they're taking care of along the way. And, they're able to keep it continual, but missed opportunities, like you said, are, oh, I just got a missed call, and I didn't look at my phone until the end of the day, but it's already 2 days from now. You're not
Yep.
calling that person back. You're just not.
It's
So,
not just the one man show either. It's the smaller to mid tier businesses that even have an office and they have a receptionist that answers the phone. But that receptionist goes on lunch, misses calls, takes breaks, misses calls, goes home after work, misses calls. So we can also build an after hours agent, which is very similar, that does all the things that I already described, but when the receptionist takes lunch, she forwards all the calls to the agent. When she goes home after work, she forwards all the calls to the agent. And this way, you're never missing calls because a lot of people also work shift work. So they're not open the 9 to 5 in that 9 to 5 window, or they're at work in that 9 to 5 window when your receptionist is answering the phone. So when they call, it's sometimes 8 p.m., 11 p.m., everybody's in bed, but the agent never sleeps.
I wonder how likely I would be to go through the process. So I know that on our team, we even have down to where somebody could take a picture of a room and describe the remodel. And then it comes up with just some basic pricing that is like, hey, if you did want something like this is, about the price range that you'd be in. I know that we even have that, in our team. But I wonder how resistant I would be when I make a phone call. All right. So I've already called two people and I just need to know. So this is a scenario that happened not recently, but I was calling an electrician and I want to get a electrical charger for my car set up at my house. And I'm looking online. I've already looked. The regular price for that is like $1,500, $900 to $1,500, and I'm okay with that. So I'm calling people in the area, of course. I'm a little scrappy, so I'm on Craigslist. I don't necessarily want to call the most expensive Google result. That's just not how I go or not how I roll. So I want to talk to a guy. I do call three or four different electricians, and it has to be an electrician, because I'm not stupid. But I'm calling him, and the guy that answered the phone said, "Take a picture of your box," and then that's another thing is, yeah, we'd love to help you. Take a picture of the area and send it in, right? So I had to take a picture of the box, and then from there he gave me the quote right over the phone and said it'd be between this amount which is fine. I was already kind of expecting that. But the fact that he answered the phone, said, yeah, I'm usually about a week out, so just make sure you give me a call and let me know, and I'll try to get you in a week. And it takes about this much time. That's it. That's really all I needed. I don't know if I would have any resistance if that were an automated process. Like, hey, we'd love to assist you. Did you have a picture that you'd like to send in? We'll schedule a time to give you a call back. Is 20 minutes from now okay? Go ahead and send your picture here. So then that way, that lead, you've already have information and you're already ready and prepared. Where, I mean, that's invaluable information. I mean,
Yeah.
you're
Well, the
you're just
electrician
ready
needs
to
to
go.
know if you even have room in your panel, because if you don't have room in your panel to add this kind of wattage, then he has to add a pony panel. And I know this because I came out of the construction business and we did a lot of pools, and a lot of people don't have room in their panel for a pool. So the electrician always had to add a pony panel. But that's something that the agent can do for you. So the agent would say, please send a picture to this email, and then not only that, but it would follow it up with a text, so an SMS message, and then they send the picture, and then the actual electrician, when he has time later in that day, he can call them back. But because they got an answer from the agent right away, they sent the picture right away. They're not back out on Google trying to get the answers anymore. They're waiting for the electrician's call back. And that's the big difference. And that's the big, in today's day and age, everything is right now. Everything needs to be instant, because if you're not ready to deal with your customer within 1 minute, they're going somewhere else. And that's just the bottom line and the nature of the game in today's world. You need to have AI if you're going to survive these next couple of years, because what's going to happen is the customer is going to keep calling, calling, and calling. And the guy that has AI is going to always answer. So he's getting all those customers that nobody else answered on top of his own regular customers that come to him.
So some of the other industries that people are always using, people are always looking for real estate. People are always making additions to their homes. People are always fixing, well, some people are always fixing cars. Some people avoid those issues and just buy nice cars. But,
So
you
what
get
I'm
me. Sure.
describing, the reason
I'm
I'm
not
saying
judging. I'm
electrician
judging.
is just because that's what popped into my head. But the same thing applies to plumbers, to HVAC, to gas, to car dealerships, to a real estate. Real estate's guys are the worst for answering their phones. And we actually already work
Oh,
for a
yeah.
number of real estate agents. And we were just recently hired by a whole team of agents to build, well, a team, and we're building their entire team an answering system. So there's like nine different, well, they're pretty much all the same, but they're going to answer for nine different agents within an agency. So that's something else that we're able to do to help real estate agents go from this to this.
That's way cool. That's awesome. Sorry about that in the background. I don't know if you heard that car alarm going on.
Nope.
Fun. So the steps that a regular business owner goes through, they're saying, I have to answer emails, I have to go give a quote, I have to actually work. And while they're actually working, that's when these things fall through the cracks. These things like following up,
Exactly.
these things like making more marketing. So you said, oh, you need a website, and that website is basically somebody's getting sold right now and they're buying your competitor's stuff because their website looks better, basically. Before
Yes.
anybody's talked to, before a sale is made, that's what is happening. They're landing on that website and they're staying there rather than thinking about your business because your business has a crappy website or you haven't set one up or you're not visible. So I was thinking about one of the tasks that like small service businesses usually make, and they usually have to sign up for like Thumbtack, um, not Better Business Bureau, but they usually have like lists of like directory websites and where to find a contractor. And that's part of like the SEO web strategy. It just helps boost your ranking, right? So
And
you're
we help
okay
with
with
all of that. So, like, if we take on a new client and the first thing I see is their website's 10 years old, it needs to be updated. We're vested in their success. So the first thing we'll do is do a website overhaul, and it's very, very cost effective once they're already a client. Most of them get it done under around $500 USD, which is unheard of by anybody. And then it's a whole system. So we roll it out piece by piece. We add an agent to it, which is also very cost effective. We add the phone answering agent that works 24/7, and we roll that out for $1,000 a month. So for maybe a fifth of the price of a receptionist, you're getting a phone agent that never misses a call, never takes a day off, and works 24/7, multilingual. So it's a whole system that once people start with us, we want them to succeed. So we tackle everything piece by piece, and we make sure it's all very cost effective so that they can get up and running properly, and what that does is it builds a lifelong customer for us. So we're
yes.
not trying to make $10,000 off a website just so that we can go on a vacation. No, we're trying to build a reputation and a lifelong customer that stays with us and recommends us to their friends and family and co trades, we'll say.
It's really weird that you have somebody that has a small business and they say I work on referral only. Oh, that's the way I've always done it, right? And I don't know if it's they have progressively gotten more business and have progressively grown, right? And become more and more successful usually. But the limits that you hit, I think that people don't realize that creating your online presence, making sure that your sales tactics, you have packages ready, that you do have, when somebody asks you what you do, you're making a sale right there. Like that is where you get your elevator pitch. And some people, yeah, it's only by referral. So they do very well when they do that themselves. And they have this mentality that I'm the only person that's going to be able to do this. I'm the only person that's going to be able to answer the phone and close on every phone call I make. And you hear owners say stuff like that. Like I'm the top sales guy. I'm the only one that makes sales here, and it's just you don't realize that letting go of some of that responsibility is actually growing your business. Like that actually means that you're making part of the sale with your marketing. You're making part of the sale when people see that they could get X, Y, and Z electrical panel taken care of between this price range. I mean, even what I had mentioned before is where you upload a picture and that's inside the chat. That's for the custom home site. I mean, that's an entire custom home that put into the chat bot, and it creates this layout, and it's like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. I mean, these do fit specifications, and you can
Mhm.
ask it all sorts of different things. But yeah, I like focusing on small businesses. And it's really when I see a small business that, like you said, they have a website that's like 10 years old, but they have a great service and they don't realize they haven't put their voice out online yet, or their brand, like the Brain AI brand.
Mhm.
We get a little conspiracy theory esque. We talk about the things you shouldn't talk about. And, maybe it's just because we want people to be interested in being part of our network. I mean, that's just how we are. We don't want to hide behind that crap is going on in the world and just let's talk just about business, guys. Yeah, that's fun, but we're going to have people on LinkedIn that watch a small clip and it's like 5 minutes out of their day when, okay, I browse a little bit when I'm at work, but it wasn't completely just for an ad. Nobody sits for 5 minutes to just go through an ad. Well, sometimes, but it's just a little entertaining, and that's kind of where the voice is. So, seeing people kind of step into a little bit more than I'm just referral only. That's just the way I've done things, and seeing them kind of grow from there after years and years, it's kind of cool. It's just kind of cool. I kind of like it.
And it's
So,
not it's not going to continue to work like that going forward. And in a lot of cases, even with our phone agents, the sales guy still has to make the sale. All we are doing is making sure they're not missing the call. You know what I mean? Like we prefer that the business still goes in and talks to the client and makes the final decisions on price and all that kind of stuff. All we're trying to do is secure that client so they're not going somewhere else.
Very cool. So what is on the lineup? What are your ideas for next week? I know that we had kind of robots at the end of last episode, and we were talking about how these service businesses, that's the one thing that will not change is that, yeah, we're just not there yet. I
Yeah.
mean, that could be a full 10 years out
I don't
longer.
know about 10 years, but maybe 5.
Yeah, I wouldn't really feel comfortable. So here's the thing is as much conspiracy theory stuff, if and I don't really even like Apple as a brand, to be honest. I like my Mac, which is and I do my phone is okay, but as a brand, them having the collection of data and my information, I don't really like. If I could turn that off, I would. But obviously,
Even if
like
you turn your phone off, it can still hear you. They've
yeah,
actually now programmed into people's phones where it's not even just a matter of what you say on your phone. They're now having AIs interpret what you're thinking next. So like based based on your own patterns, they can predict what you're going to look for next and put it in front of you and basically sell you something that you didn't even think you wanted. You really didn't want, but it's just all predictive programming.
I get a little creeped out by that. But if a robot showed up to my house to fix my electrical problem, I don't know. I don't know. Like, so,
But you also don't know where you're going to be in 5 years. Like right now, if they would have told you, hey, next year, you're going to basically use AI to write every single email, every single text message, all your clients back and forth, you would have said, no, I'm still going to write my own stuff. But even us, like as a business, we put our ideas into Grok or into ChatGPT of what we want to, what the point of we want to get across to our clients, to our response, to whoever, even our online posts, and we let the AI kind of roll with our thoughts and turn it into something perfectly spell checked, perfectly grammatized, everything like that, so that we
better.
don't we look smarter than what we are.
Yeah,
AI has
improve on me.
turned
I know it's
it's
hard.
turned this particular high school dropout construction worker into a genius.
Yeah, and I didn't think that it would be here either. I mean, I remember some of my first problems. I had a computer that I didn't have enough RAM or whatever gigabytes. I'm not good with that stuff. I didn't have enough of that to download. It wasn't Midjourney, it was some other AI image creator. And that was
Mhm.
before you could just
Sora.
prompt it. No, it was before Sora. It was one of anyway, but you had to actually download it on your computer to get it to
Yep.
work. And I remember like going through that hurdle, like, and from that point, we wouldn't think that how close creating, and you hear about it, you're like, oh wow, you can tell that, movies, scripts are completely created by, like you said, they're
Well,
processing what
we
they
don't
can.
even need actors anymore. Like we can
I mean,
prompt.
the whole thing, I mean, the whole thing can be AI generated and we wouldn't even really know. I mean,
There are movies already that are, well, we don't need to get into it, but the whole space thing, that's all bullshit. Anyway, we won't get into that this week. I think we should
I didn't
maybe think
follow
about
Space
wrapping up.
Ghost though. That's not real. No, it's about like light refraction yeah, refraction.
More
Nothing.
programming, media.
Yeah.
What
Well, and it's all based on what we like. The AI is making it so we have the best enjoyable, and that we watch more of it, we consume more. That's the method. When you have a guy that's competing with somebody that's AI empowered, you know, Yeah, the guy that's AI empowered is not just a construction guy that, runs a successful business now doing AI. Not you're looking
Now he
at.
can focus on the construction job and not all the administrative work, which allows him to be better at his construction job, which allows the electrician to be better at his job because he's 100% focused on the job he's doing, while AI takes care of everything in the background. Whereas maybe even 2 years ago, you'd have an electrician at your house wiring something up while texting four other clients, and he might make a mistake.
Yeah,
So the guys that are actually working with AI are doing a better job on the job sites as well. All
AI
right,
empowered.
another good week here on the Braincast. Some interesting discussions again. Jenny, thank you for being here as always, and we'll see you next week.
All right, see ya.